I was online a couple years ago at around 1 o'clock a.m. looking up SpongeBob episodes as I was a huge fan as a kid, and the new episodes they show on TV are completely crap. So after going through bad quality videos on foreign websites and other sites flooded with ads, I came upon an unofficial website that had full episodes ad-free. Okay, the quality wasn't great, but better than most of the websites. On the bottom was a link that said, SpongeBob Lost Episode. Being the idiot I am, I clicked on it. I thought it was probably a screamer or something, but I clicked on it anyway. I was bored enough to click on the video and watched it. I totally forgot about looking for old episodes. The episode video had poor quality, and the episode itself was pretty much forgotten by the writers. Like every episode, it started with the theme song. The title card read Patrick's Leg, with the normal fun-filled bubble letters we all know and love. The first thing that didn't seem right was after the title card, the translation, instead of the bubbles, was just a blur onto the beginning of the episode. Started out like a harmless SpongeBob episode with SpongeBob and Patrick watching the sunset. But then, Patrick decides to go sandboarding, so they do. So far, a pretty normal episode. Patrick then tries to do some sort of trick on a sandboard but fails. As a result, Patrick falls and loses his leg. Also, blood was coming out of it, and SpongeBob goes after him to see him if he's okay. During the scene, instead of the usual Hawaiian-themed music, more suspenseful, serious music plays. Also, Patrick screams a more painful scream than he usually would, enough that I could feel it. Well, I guess that makes sense. He just lost his leg. Nothing that is too far out of the ordinary, right? Well, other than the opening of the music in that one scene, it's pretty much going like any ordinary episode. The next scene takes place at the hospital, where the doctor tells Patrick he needs to be in a wheelchair for a while. They walk out. SpongeBob is pushing Patrick in his wheelchair when they run into some girls. The girls start talking to Patrick because of his leg and ask if they can sign his cast as they walk away with Patrick, leaving SpongeBob by himself. So far, it's going like a normal episode. I don't remember what happened throughout the episode, so I'll skip some scenes. This is where it gets creepy. Later that night, SpongeBob knocks at Patrick's door. In this scene, the background looks more realistic than usual. However, I try to ignore it. When Patrick opens the door, SpongeBob tells Patrick that he forbids to see him to those girls ever again. Patrick gets furious, not like what he normally does. This is a more realistic anger, and he tells SpongeBob that he hates him. The girls leave in fear. This is when I started to feel funny about this episode. SpongeBob then screams in a usually deep voice, something like, "Oh yeah? As well, as long as you hate me, I can do this." And then starts beating Patrick's lost leg violently with a rock. After that, the screen goes to static for a fraction of a second and cuts to a scene where SpongeBob and Patrick are apologizing for something during the daytime, except lighting of the animation, and the voices don't match up. The animation in this scene is very poor, as if it was a loop and goes out for a good 4 or 5 minutes. I was very creeped out, but wanted to see how it ended. The screen goes black for a minute or two, but then cuts to a scene for another episode, where Patrick has Jeffrey jellyfish in a wagon and says, "Come on, Jeffrey," and the screen goes black again. This time, for only about 30 seconds, and cuts to a CG animation of Patrick cutting SpongeBob's stomach open with a piece of broken coral, with realistic blood gushing out. While looking at the screen with bloodshot, dilated eyes, his mouth don't move, but you can finally hear him say, "I know this day would come," with an echoing voice. You can also hear SpongeBob laughing for some reason. The scene goes on for another 3 minutes, but nothing is heard but static, which gets louder and louder until it's unbearably loud. Then the normal credits come on, but with a very faint image of the last scene showing. My God, that image will burn in my mind forever. The United Plankton logo isn't shown like usual. After that video was over, it froze. I had to reload the page, but it wasn't available. I couldn't find the website anymore. Even when I looked up Patrick's leg, nothing came up. I understand if you don't believe me, but I know what I saw, even if it was 1 o'clock in the morning. What the hell was I even doing online at the time?